Hi guys, welcome to the Saucy Chef's channel today. Okay, so today I'm going to make homemade pizza. This has been one of my children's favourites ever since they were growing up and still is today. So Max, Liv and Belle, this is especially for you. I'm going to show you the recipe how to make it, and because I can't be with you during these lockdown times, I want you to give it a try and you can post on Facebook and see what your results are like. Okay, I'll tell you what ingredients we're going to need in a minute, but just a couple of points about a homemade pizza. If you make your own dough, it is so much better than shop bought. It has no preservatives and rubbish in it. It's just everything that's in there you know about. And with regards to toppings, I'm sure that you all know that you can put absolutely anything on a pizza. Today I'm going to keep it more or less vegetarian, but you can make seafood pizzas. My kids' favourite were pepperoni pizzas. You can literally put anything on there. One of the things I used to do as well with my children was crack an egg into the middle of the pizza on top and bake it that way, and that's also really delicious. Okay, but I'll explain the ingredients we're going to use today and talk you through it. So I've got 250 gram of plain flour in a mixing bowl here, together with a teaspoon of instant yeast, a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of sugar. If you're going to use fresh yeast, you will need to put the yeast in a separate bowl with some warm water and the sugar and let it ferment for about 10 minutes. But I've used instant today because that's actually all I could get. Okay, so that's in the bowl together. We're going to add to that a tablespoon of olive oil and then some water to bind and then roll it out. Okay. For the tomato sauce, there are many different recipes you can look at for a pizza sauce. But this one is actually really tasty and very simple. So this is about 6 to 8 tablespoons of blended tomato frito, or you can use tomato passata. And to this I've added a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of dried ground garlic and a teaspoon of dried ground onion. And I've let that just mix together for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it makes a really tasty pizza sauce. And today what I'm going to put on the pizza is mushrooms, some thinly sliced green peppers, some chilies because I quite like a spicy pizza, some thinly sliced onions. The cheese, mozzarella has to be a must, so there's about 100 gram of mozzarella there. I've got some shaved Parmesan and also some grated cheddar. I don't tend to grate the Parmesan because it burns very quickly. Equally with the mozzarella, you can see here, it's not grated, it's just cut into chunks. And the key thing about toppings for pizzas is to cut things finely, because it's in the oven on a high temperature for not very long. And what you don't want to happen is your topping to be raw. So the mushrooms here, I've sliced very thinly, the same with the green peppers, the chilies and the onions. Okay, so let's make the dough first of all. So I'm just going to add a tablespoonful of olive oil to this dough, like so. And then I have some warm water here that I'm going to use to bind. So we add it a little bit at a time, like so. And then once the flour starts to absorb the water, we'll get our hands in to start kneading it. You need a small cup of water for this quantity of flour. Okay, so now I'm going to get my hand in to start kneading it. Don't forget the salt in the dough, it's key to it being the right sort of balance of flavours. So let's start dragging all this together now. This is enough to make pizzas for 2 people. If you use a sort of 9 to 10 inch baking sheet or stone or whatever you have, ideally I would love to have a pizza oven, but I don't have one. That would make it just absolutely perfect. But I'm using a standard oven today and just round baking sheets. A little bit more water. And it's well worth kneading the dough for a few minutes. This works the gluten in the flour and it gives you a nice soft smooth dough. So if you see, it's all starting to come together now in the bowl. My hands are very clean, so don't worry. Okay, so we'll just remove it from the bowl now and knead it for a minute or two to work the gluten. This is for a thin base pizza. If you're wanting something slightly thicker, I prefer the thin base pizzas. If you're wanting something slightly thicker, then use just a smaller round tin, and then you'll get a thicker base. With the topping as well, I always use fresh garlic, so for each pizza I've got 2 cloves of crushed garlic and a full teaspoon of oregano. So I'm working that now until you sort of get a silky look to the dough. And then what we do now is we oil the bowl and we place the dough back in covered in cling film, and then you leave it back in this bowl covered in cling film with the oil for about half an hour to 45 minutes until it's risen to twice the size. Okay, so I'll see you a little bit later. Hi guys, okay, so the dough has now been left for about 40 minutes, and as you can see it's virtually doubled in size. So we're going to take the dough onto the floured board, knock it back a little bit more kneading. And then obviously we're going to make 2 pizzas today, so I'm going to cut the dough in half. And roll it out into a round ball. And like I said to you earlier, the dishes I've got to cook these in are about 9 to 10 inches, so it's about right for this size of dough. As I was saying earlier, you know, you can put any topping on a pizza whatsoever. With regards to cheese, any cheeses, but mozzarella is an absolute essential. It's the one that gives a sort of stringy, gooey sort of consistency when you're eating the pizza and makes it so tasty. And like I said, this is for a thin crust pizza, which tends to be my preference. You need to have your oven, by the way, now preheated to about 200 degrees. Very easy to work with dough, this, and a fabulous base. If you try this recipe, honestly, because I've tried so many pizza recipes over the years, it's really one of the best I've tried. Let's just test this against the dish. Make sure you grease your dish as well. Yes, just a little bit further this way. Obviously you repeat the same procedure with the next pizza, so I'll see you in a second. Okay guys, so here we have the 2 lined baking trays, to which we're going to add the tomato mix, and about 3 to 4 tablespoons is enough. If you put too much tomato in, it can actually make the pizzas a little bit soggy. So we spread them out across the base of the pizza like this. Yeah, so I've put 3 tablespoons there, and that is plenty. So we'll go for another 3 here, like so. This is such a great pizza sauce as well, honestly. If you do have the dried onion powder and garlic powder, it adds such a lovely flavour to the pizza sauce. And then the order of things to be put on the pizza is, first of all, we go with the mushrooms, peppers and onions, and put them evenly across on top of the pizza sauce, like so. And like I said, make sure everything you put on top is sliced quite thinly, and then it has a chance to cook through. Okay. There is sometimes nothing nicer than a homemade pizza. Okay. And I'll continue adding these, and I'll see you in a minute when I've put everything on. So we've got now the peppers, the chilies, the mushrooms and the onions all on here. And then I'm next going to add the mozzarella, like so. And then next comes a very important ingredient, the fresh garlic. It really wouldn't taste the same without fresh garlic. So, like I said, about 2 cloves for each pizza. Spread fairly evenly around the pizza. And now the oregano. This is just the best herb to have on a pizza, really. And about a teaspoon for each pizza, so you really get the flavour through. I've had to use ground oregano today because I couldn't get fresh, but if you can get fresh, all the better. The fact of having so many fresh ingredients on a pizza really does make it taste amazing. Then a little bit more of the cheese on top. And some of the shaved Parmesan. And my last trick is always, at the very last minute, just drizzle a little bit of olive oil on top of each pizza. It just helps all the toppings cook through properly. Don't put too much because it will make your pizza a little bit greasy, but I'm just going to drizzle a little bit across the top now. Like so. And then they can go straight into your preheated oven. And I'll see you in about 10-15 minutes. Like I say, you need to make sure the base is cooked through, that the toppings are cooked through, and when you look in the oven that the cheese has started to brown, and that's a pretty good sign that they'll be ready. Okay, I'll see you in about 10-15 minutes. Okay guys, so they've been in the oven now for about 12 minutes. I've just had a quick look and they look ready, so I'll just get one out. How delicious do these look? So there we have it guys, homemade pizza. Let me just see if I can show you a little bit better. How delicious does that look? Okay, give them a try guys. Max, Liv and Belle, I'm challenging you to make them this weekend and let me know how you go on, okay? Alright, if you enjoyed watching the video today, please like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.